Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken the World Quick Talk. Tonight, virgin birth, death, and resurrection. It is, of course, Monday, April 22nd, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you are here live on the Awaken the World YouTube channel. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Cindy, how you doing? Hello right back to you, peep. Isn't it kind of, I don't know, what sound does a bunny make when it lays an egg? Wait a minute, I didn't quite ask that properly. If you want the answer, you must understand what is the sound of an Easter bunny laying an egg. It's like what's the sound of one hand clapping? I don't know. I don't think I really want to hear the Easter bunny laying the egg. Okay, well, we're gonna blame that all on Cindy. So, we're going to have a great little talk tonight. It should be really fun. I even managed to comment, or that was my evil twin brother. We're going to talk about virgin birth. We're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about resurrection. Now, interestingly enough, we're not going to be talking about Jesus Christ. And there's a reason for that. You see, as it turns out, there are 32 at a bare minimum known virgin birth, death, and resurrection stories that precede the birth of Jesus Christ. And as these are quick talks, we are going to talk about only two of those. And Cindy, I would never blame you for anything, really. No, I wouldn't. So we're going to do the second one first and the first one second. And there's a reason for that, because the first one, which we're going to do second, is going to blow you away. It really, really will. So first we're going to talk about, of course, Krishna. And Krishna was born in... Hey, Susan, you're up late. So nice to see you, Susan. How you doing? Happy Easter. Happy, whatever you want. Just happy. And happy you're here. Cindy's here with us tonight. Kelly's here too. And it's so good to see you. So we're having a great little discussion tonight. And, we're not actually talking about Jesus Christ. We're going to be talking about two other historical figures out of the 32 stories that precede Christ that mimic it very closely, okay? Or Christ mimics their stories in truth. So Krishna, again, 3,228 years prior to Christ was the birth of Krishna. Now, Krishna was born of a virgin named Devaki, and he was heralded by a star, and he was thought to be of royal lineage. He was also born in a cave. And according to the apocryphal gospel, Prodevangelion, Christ himself was actually born in a cave, not in a stable. Now, whether that's true or not is not really clear. At the time of Krishna's birth, the cave was mysteriously illuminated, and of course, at Jesus' birth, there was a great light in the cave, according to the apocryphal gospel. I don't like that word, okay? The infant Krishna spoke right after he was born, and so did Christ. He spoke from the cradle. He told Mary, I am Jesus, the Son of God, right? And Krishna was born while his foster father was in the city to pay taxes for the king. And Jesus was born while his foster father was in the city to pay taxes for the governor. The babe Krishna was adored by cowherds, where the babe Jesus was adored by shepherds. King Kansa sought the life of Krishna. He wanted to murder him. And of course, it was Herod and the slaughter of the innocents that closely mimics that story. Okay? Now, Nanda was warned in a heavenly voice to flee with the infant Krishna, to escape. And so was Mary warned to take Christ and flee into Egypt. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, he did. This is a matter of historical note within the Vedas and other Hindu texts. Krishna was a crucified Christ. Literally, he is pictured in Indian art as hanging on a cross with his arms extended. Okay, and Krishna, that's the closeness of it, right? Krishna, whose history so closely resembles Christ, was also like him to be crucified. Krishna was pierced by an arrow while hanging on the cross, and of course, Christ was pierced by a spear. The sun darkened from the 6th to the 9th hour on the day that Krishna actually, on the day of the crucifixion of Christ, and it also blotted out at noon on the day of Krishna's death. Krishna descended into hell to raise the dead before returning to the abode of the gods, and we read that Christ descended into hell and on the third day rose from the dead. There is a very close parallel to the two stories, even though Krishna exists a full 3,228 years prior to Jesus Christ. Now, if you think that is interesting, wait till we talk about the second one. And as I said, we're only going to talk about two today because this is a quick talk. This second one is going to blow you away, okay? And I'm going to go through all these points fairly quickly. And then if you have a question about it, please ask it. So Horus was 3,000 years before Christ, okay? And the followers of Horus invaded Egypt in pre-dynastic times, which is prior to 3000 BC. He was recognized as the god of civil order and justice, okay? Horus was the only begotten son of Osiris, or possibly even Yahweh. It depends which text you look at. Horus's mother was Mary, spelled Meri, where of course Christ's mother was Mary. Horus's foster father was called Joseph, and Jesus' foster father was Joseph. Both foster fathers were of royal descent. Both were born in a cave, although with Christ there is some idea that he may have been born in a stable, okay? Both had their coming announced to their mother by an angel. Horus' birth was heralded by the star Sirius, the morning star. And of course, the star in the east heralded the birth of Jesus. Ancient Egyptians celebrated the birth of Horus on December 21st, the winter solstice, and modern Christians, of course, celebrate the birth of Christ on the 25th. Both births, again, were announced by angels to others. Both had shepherds witnessing the birth. Horus was visited at birth by 3 solar deities, and of course, in the Bible, you have Christ being visited by the 3 wise men, okay? After the birth of Horus, Herod, who was in power at the time, tried to have Horus murdered, and of course we know that Herod tried to have Jesus murdered. To hide from Herod, the god tells Isis, "Come and hide with your child." To hide from Herod, an angel tells Joseph to rise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. Both Horus and Christ have no recorded history after the age of 12 to the age of 30. Both were baptized at the age of 30. Horus was baptized by Anup, and of course Christ was baptized by John the Baptist. Both Anup and John the Baptist were later beheaded. Horus was taken from the desert of Amenta up a high mountain to be tempted by his arch rival, Set. And of course, we know about Christ's temptation in the desert. Both Horus and Christ successfully resisted. Both had 12 disciples. Horus stilled the sea by his power, and of course, Christ commanded the sea, as well as walking on the water. Horus raised his dead father, and Jesus raised Lazarus. So clearly, there is a historical motif, okay? And interestingly enough, Horus was raised in a town, the town Anu, and Lazarus was raised in Beth Anu, or the house of Anu. Yeah, literally the same story. It really, really is. Both delivered a Sermon on the Mount. Both were crucified. Both were crucified next to two thieves. Horus was in a tomb. He was sent to hell and resurrected after 3 days. Jesus was sent to hell and came back 3 days later. Both had their resurrection announced by women. Both are supposed to return for a 1,000-year reign. What can we make of this? Now, if you are interested, I would be quite happy to do additional quick talks. We'll do kind of a side splinter, and we will do 15 additional quick talks, and we will deal with 2 more of the similar circumstance situations that we find in the Bible with Jesus Christ. So, if there's any questions, ask me now. Absolutely, have I heard of that religion? And you know what we can do is we'll put that up as a talk. We'll do a quick talk on that subject, precisely. The purpose of the quick talks, of course, is to stay on one subject. But I'll tell you what, we will put that on the list for a quick talk, and we will do that one later this week, no later than Wednesday or Thursday. So just to finish off, Horus is also known as KRST, the Anointed One, whereas Jesus, of course, was known as the Christ, or the Anointed One. Both have been called the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, the Bread of Life, the Son of Man, the Word, the Fish, and the Winnower. Both are associated with the zodiac sign of Pisces. Both are associated with the vine and the shepherd's crook. Both were transfigured on the Mount. The catacombs of Rome have pictures of the infant Horus being held by his mother, not unlike the modern-day images of Madonna and Child. That's it. That's all. And baptism. Yeah, we can certainly do a one on baptism as well. So that's it. That's all for today. Something to think about, that's for sure. We have this repeating story throughout history. And what do we make of this? Well, that's really the question. And I'm going to give you my take on it. How about that, okay? Let's go an extra minute or two here, and I'm going to give you my take on this. If you can imagine, and every... from Krishna to Buddha to Christ, they all say the same thing in different ways, okay? And that is this, that for every 10,000 or so that hear any of these sort of messages, only one out of that 10,000 is going to truly hear it. And if you take 10,000 of those who hear it, okay, so 10,000 times 10,000, only one of those is going to actually put that into practice in their life, or look at it closely and dive deeply into it. And out of 10,000 who do that, so now we're at 10,000 times 10,000 times 10,000, only one of those is going to have that realization, gain that awakening. So this is what I think through the amalgamated 3,268 years of collective experience. Again, not me, but all the different spokes on the wheel all the different egos that are connected with this ego. A soul woke up totally, became totally enlightened. And as you can think of that as a white blood cell within God, within that sea of consciousness, an individuated part of the divine, as we all are. And that soul has chosen throughout history to return over and over and over again, manifested in each of these 32 different deities, prophets, virgin, and again, they're all virgin births, they're all resurrected deaths. There is a pattern, and the pattern is, in my mind, is that it's the same soul. And in the modern day here, we have the 14th Dalai Lama. And of course, he is going to be dying soon. And when he dies, we will face a new birth and a new incarnation. And there is not one, but there is many. And this many is growing. And that is the hope for humanity. The hope for our children, the hope for our grandchildren, the hope for our planet. Much love. I hope that's a satisfactory answer. That's my answer. You don't have to own any part of that. You really don't. All our love tonight. Namaste from both Kelly and myself, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take care.